Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to part two of the Dr. Quack Show. We have our NFL draft here going through the second half of it. I already covered 1 through 16 on my previous video, and now we're going to go on from 17 on. I will tell you this right now, this pick right here is highly important because this pick right here, I can see teams potentially trading up for. It's with the Washington Redskins. And right now, they're having issues with their quarterback situation with Kirk Cousins. I can definitely see this is who I think. I mean, after seeing this guy play last year, I can definitely say this guy is tough. He's a legitimate quarterback. I mean, you see him in the championship game beating up on Alabama. I mean, he was throwing it well. And I will say that the Redskins, for that reason, will probably take Deshaun Watson out of Clemson. He is definitely the better quarterback of the two that everybody likes to mention right now, which will be Mitchell Trubisky. I would take him. Some experts would take Mitchell Trubisky over him. I don't see it. I think that this guy fits Washington's scheme, and I think that it's going to be a great thing to see. You know, him come out there and play. I think he's going to get some competition to the NFC East. Number 18, we have the Tennessee Titans. They went earlier in my draft, they went safety. And I think they're going to continue on that defensive side. They're going to go for Garrett Contley, quarterback out of Ohio State. I mean, this guy's definitely got some great hands. This guy could be a number 2 corner, potentially number 1 if he wins the battle in training camp. I think this guy is going to fit their needs very well if they can just continue on with their offense on how they're doing. They let up a lot of points last year. Trust me, in fantasy, if you had players that were playing Tennessee, you definitely wanted to use them because they were scoring. You know, it was pretty well shown. Number 20, we have the Denver Broncos. Denver Broncos here, you know, I don't understand this. Paxton Lynch, first round last year, they went up for and got him, right? You would figure this year, since Peyton Manning's gone, you would figure this would be the guy that's going to be at the helm. But no, they're in a quarterback controversy right now. They're pretty much right there, you know, deciding who's going to be playing quarterbacks with him and the other ones that are available right now. Kind of cracking me up on that. So they're not going quarterback. And I would say they probably need some protection because they're defensively, they're pretty set. They're not in a horrible position. They're more, you know, focused here offensively, and they'll go for Forrest Lamp out of Western Kentucky. I think that'll be a good pickup. I think because this guy's got some speed, he's got great hands, and he can definitely protect the pocket very well in passing situations. 21, we have Detroit. Detroit needs a defensive player here. Detroit really does because, I mean, you look at the quarterbacks in that division alone. You've got Aaron Rodgers, who can sling the ball. You got Matthew Stafford, you know, really good right there. I mean, and just looking in the NFC, you've got a lot of quarterbacks like that. You know, a lot on their schedule. So you're going to need a defensive player. And I would take Charles Harris right there. I would take him out of Mizzou. I think this guy, you know, because, I mean, all the good, the great, rather, I'll say he is good. But all the great defensive ends right now are off the board, in my opinion. They're not going to be there. So I would definitely say this would be a good pick for them. I think Detroit should do that. And you know, hopefully be able to establish a defensive game. 22. Now we're moving closer into the playoff teams. These are the guys that, you know, where their spot was after they made the playoffs. First one is the Miami Dolphins at number 22. You know, and this guy right here, they also need a defensive end. They need one bad. They need to go get Takarist McKinley out of UCLA. That's the guy I would say they need to. I mean, dude, even in their division alone, who's going to get the Tom Brady over there? They need pressure. If you don't pressure Tom Brady, you see what he's done. That's why he's got 5 rings, because he will light you up if you let him sit in that pocket. You can't just pretend that you're going to cover everybody, because he'll find a way. He will. And that's why I'm saying, yeah, the Dolphins, they need to go strongly on a defensive end. They need to apply the pressure to quarterbacks. I mean, Tannehill's not a bad guy to have. I mean, he's probably mid-tier to, I'd say, around top 10 on the quarterback list, depending on how you want to rate him. But I'd say anywhere from 11 to 15. He's definitely somebody there that's not bad, but they definitely need help on defense. Now let's move on. The New York Giants. Let's go on that party boat, right? No, we didn't get to make it that far. I'm telling you, now the Giants are looking equipped. They did some great work this offseason. I mean, you got Beckham there. You got Brandon Marshall there. You got Shepard there. They got some weapons offensively. And honestly, I think I would add to it because, I mean, you got a lot of people who can spread the field, but you don't have anybody that can really go in there, take the ball and catch it, within 10 yards and be able to do it. This is why I would take, tight end Evan Ingram here. I would take him out of Ole Miss. I mean, this guy, bigger guy, but he's known for his red zone possessions, and this is going to be a guy you're going to see mostly in that red zone. I mean, Brandon Marshall will probably be covered, and you'll see OJB covered. So this will be a guy who'll get a lot of opportunities. Almost somebody I would recommend in fantasy football for picking up when we're looking at tight ends. I almost would put him right now at a top 10 pick. If he went to the Giants, I would seriously consider that. Just saying if he did. If he doesn't go to the Giants, then it's all going to depend on where he goes on how you do that. Let's move on. 24, the Raiders. Yeah, good old Oakland, I'm telling you. It's good to see Oakland back again, like the way they used to be. I mean, God, anybody who knows back in the days, they were the roughest, toughest team, and they would fight. And, you had Ted Arcidi and, of course, a bunch of other guys there. And as they always they look for tough players. And this guy, Gerard Davis out of Florida, fits their scheme. He fits their physical toughness, going to beat you down kind of guy. He is a linebacker out of Florida. He is definitely a defensive player. I mean, I think they got enough weapons on offense to where as long as Carr stays healthy, they're going to be a contender. And I'm not saying that they're going to make the Super Bowl. They could. They definitely have that in them. I mean, if he wouldn't have went down last year, it could have been a different story. He could have been AFC Championship and Super Bowl bound. You never know. But I'm telling you, that's a big question mark there. Hopefully his health is back to normal. But Jared Davis is definitely a guy that I think is going to work with them well. Now we move on. Number 25. Houston Texans. Houston, you guys have a problem. And it's a major problem. You guys made the divisional round in the playoffs. And really, it was one problem that really killed you. And your defense, they stepped up and they did the best they could. But, of course, they got gassed because they didn't have a quarterback. And they need a quarterback. And this is why I would say Mitchell Trubisky from North Carolina. I think he would fit more of what they want to do down there. He is, he's better in the pocket than Deshaun Watson. But I feel like Deshaun Watson's got more upside to him. I do feel that. I mean, the guy is definitely a great player. Mitchell Trubisky, though, he is definitely going to be your guy. If you get him a good, running game going, he could do some things. I think this guy, I would say, might be the missing piece to the puzzle. We'll have to see as time will tell. But that's who I think the Houston Texans will take. And this is another thing, too. Right here at this spot, I mean, I had 17 marked where I plan on seeing a trade. And I also plan on seeing a trade at 25. Because there's a lot of teams, that were in the top 10 that may just bump up. That may go, hey, we'll trade you our second this year or third this year and a second next year or a first next year. You never know. For this guy. They might put the money on the bank for this guy. I mean, a lot of people have been watching him. He's been hyped over the media. That this is another, potential trade point. I'm going to move on to 26 here now. Seattle Seahawks, and just looking at them, I don't feel like they're going to go outside the box with a pick. I just don't see it. Honestly, I feel like they're going to play it safe. And they're going to look at Ryan Ramczyk from Wisconsin. They're going to go for the tackle. They're going to want somebody to protect Russell Wilson. They need that very well. They need to establish a running game, and they need a guy who can do it. And this guy is definitely a run blocker. So, I mean, he can definitely do the job. That's why, you don't see a lot of guys in this draft going offensive line-wise. And to be in there, to be considered for that, that tells me that you're the top of that pick. You're the top of that position right there. So that guy there, I would definitely pick up. Kansas City. Kansas City's another one here. It's interesting. I mean, there's question marks on Alex Smith. And don't be shocked if they trade up to Houston. That is definitely one of the teams I could see doing it. Because Alex Smith has question marks. I mean, he is. Some people will call him a game manager. I mean, he is. I think he's an above-average quarterback, but I don't think he's an elite quarterback. I mean, he does have his potential and he does have his moments. But I can see these guys, going defensive end here. I can see them there going defensively, and defensive end is where I would put them over with Taco Charlton over there from Michigan. I've seen a little bit of tape on this guy. Just was watching him recently. The guy does have a pass rush. He's good. He's not phenomenal like these other guys you're seeing in the top 10 go, but I can see they need that need. Eric Berry's there on that defense, great safety. But I can see this guy going there, and they'll need the depth there as well because you got that whole division, right? You've got Oakland with excuse me, my mind is just going blank. But yeah, with Carr over there, we got Oakland over there with Carr. So I mean, he's definitely a good quarterback to get after. I mean, you're going to need that. San Diego still got Phillip Rivers. Now no longer San Diego, the LA Chargers. Why did I say that? I don't know. But that's just what it was going to used to be. So the LA Chargers, yeah, it's another one there. I mean, you got to get after these quarterbacks. 28, the Dallas Cowboys. And I thought a lot about this. I actually sat down for a few minutes. I think there could go one of two ways, but this is the way I'm going to present it. I really feel because, Dez Bryant is known for his injuries. Beasley, another one known for his injuries. I mean, these guys do play hard through it, but at certain points in the season, they do get dropped. So I think they're probably going to look for another wide receiver. I can see it this late in the draft. A lot of defensive players are gone. I don't see, they're going to look at some depth in the wide receiver. And that's why I would say to go John Ross at Washington. I can see that. I mean, this guy there, good speed, good hands. I don't think he's going to be anything spectacular, but I think he's going to add some depth to the wide receiver position. And, I think you'll see him in spread offenses and things like that. This is where it gets interesting. This is another pick. There's two more I can see out of these next four. Number 29 is the Green Bay Packers. Right? And there's a guy there, that I have right now that I'm sure a lot of teams are looking at and going, I've seen his brother play. If he's anything like his brother, we need to take him. And I can see teams possibly trading up for this guy. I have the Green Bay Packers taking T.J. Watt out of Wisconsin, J.J. Watt's little brother. I mean, you watch this guy on tape, sat there and watched him on Game Changers. And this guy, he's got some speed. And he's got some power. He's a big, strong guy, a lot like his brother. If he's even a third of what his brother is, he's going to be good. His brother was excellent. Probably considered Defensive Player of the Year, not last year, but year before. I mean, he's going to be a target. I can see that for people in the draft, possibly in the second round, possibly even one of these next three picks going for it. I mean, it'll be interesting to see. This is definitely a guy that's important. Number 30, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Offensively, yeah, they've got some weapons. They have got some weapons. Big Ben, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Bryant. You got a lot of great weapons there. Defensively, they're not bad. I mean, this is why they made the AFC Championship game. I think that's almost the side they lean on because this is Pittsburgh style right there. It's either run game or defense generally. They generally don't play it safe on that. That's generally where they go. They love their defense in Pittsburgh, And this guy here, Jabroni Peppers out of Michigan, I mean, he's definitely fits their mold, He is definitely a tough guy, a good safety right there. They'll need that help. Corners always seem to be the weakness for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They can have one good corner, but they generally don't have two. So that's where they're going to need a safety help right there. And I think this guy could be the good fit for them. And as we move down here, number 31, I think Atlanta stacked offensively. They made it to the Super Bowl last year. They proved that. What they also proved is they had a 25-3 lead late in the third quarter and lost to the Patriots. And, their defense got gassed. So they need some depth. And I think at this position right now, Kevin King out of Washington, he'd be another guy that I would consider. You need some help on that cornerback situation because, I mean, as you've seen, Brady was spreading it even before in, the NFC playoffs. You would see them a lot there with Aaron Rodgers slinging it around on people. I mean, this guy, I think you're going to put him in towards a nickel. I can see him being slowly brought in. I think this guy might do the job eventually. I don't see it happening this year, possibly next year. That's where I kind of see it next year. Maybe the year before that, to where he's like either a number 2 or number 1 corner. And number 32 is the New Orleans Saints. New England Patriots traded their pick for Brandon Cooks and gave them the 32nd overall pick. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out because the Saints have already drafted one player here. And, you're going to be kind of shocked on this. There's a guy out there, Texas Tech, Patrick Mahomes. He's the third-ranked quarterback. This is also, I can see a trade point coming from people in the second round because the 32nd pick doesn't really mean much if you're going to second round number 1. If you could trade up to get him and be the 32nd pick in the draft, you're not going to have to pay extra money. A lot of difference there between there and the second round. This guy, if he doesn't go at the 32nd, will probably go in the second round. I can see it. I would definitely say top 10 there. So I can see a lot of guys with the second round picks, whoever they are, moving up to potentially get this dude. The reason why I say the Saints would get him, Drew Brees is up there. He's up there in age. You don't know how much longer he's got. You might want somebody there just in case, A, he retires, B, he gets hurt. You're going to need somebody to play some games. And, like I said, those first 2 quarterbacks, I see them, Deshaun Watson, Mitchell Trubisky, I see them going, well before it gets shot at 32. I don't see Deshaun Watson even hitting 20, but we'll see what happens here. That's my picks for the NFL draft. I got a lot of notes in front of me, thank God, because I'm telling you, it's a lot of knowledge, And to sit down and watch this, I mean, I sat down for, a few hours today. I've actually sat down, for a few hours over the last few weeks, watching things and watching predictions and things like that. Kind of just, giving you my thoughts right here. I can kind of see some things going down. Should be a good draft tomorrow. I believe it's at 8 o'clock. The draft will start. Couple predictions. I think that will happen. I do feel somewhere in this draft, I don't know where, and I'm thinking it's towards later, you're going to see the Patriots enter, and they're going to take somebody because they've probably got their eye on a few people. Belichick, he's always playing checkers while everybody else is playing Hungry Hippos. So it won't shock me if he's in this draft. He may not be. He may just wait till the second round. He's got a lot of weapons from the offseason. The other one, the Rams. The Rams had no picks. Would it shock me if they went up in the draft? No. I can see that. They need help. I mean, they've got a great running back there in Todd Gurley, but they need help outside of that, and they know it. But I want to thank y'all for tuning in. Here's my second half. I hope y'all enjoy it. Give me your thoughts. Give me your criticisms. If you got any questions or anything, please shoot them my way. I'll love to answer them. Thank you, guys.